So today we are going to try and make a bone-in pork roast with a method on the Big Green Egg called a reverse sear. And a reverse sear is a lot like the popular technique now called sous vide, where you bring the meat up to the proper temperature on the inside, so kind of a perfect medium rare, and then get a really good crust on the outside. That way you have the doneness on the inside that you want. But instead of using a water bath to create that technique, you start out with a really low heat. So we would probably bring the big green egg up into about 200, 225 over a few hours, and then we're going to look for a core temperature on the inside of about 165. And then once that's done, we can take it off. We can actually let it rest for a little while, and then really crank the egg up to 600 degrees, so then we can put it back on and get a really good char on the outside. So what I've done here is last night, this came from Costco, and I did a very rough Frenching on the ribs, as you can see there, and I actually put a good layer of salt kind of on all sides, and let that sit overnight. And then this is a layer just of grainy mustard kind of on the fat. I could have put it all over. Really, I'm just testing for technique right now for the cooking method, so we're going to play with flavor as we go. But for the purpose of this video, let's just take a look at how a reverse sear works out on the Big Green Egg. What I wanted to do is actually bring the temperature up pretty high, get the coals hot, instead of doing kind of like a lower temperature smoke, kind of a smoky flavor right away. I wanted to get some of the coals pretty white. If I look back inside, we've got a pretty good fire going, and I've got the indirect heat plate on top, because what I want to do is, because we're going to do this trying to get a low temperature on the roast, we want to bring this down to about 225. So what I'm going to do is shut things down a little bit, and I'm probably going to, let me turn this around. I'm going to crack it here, crack it there, just a little bit. And then I'm going to shut this down. Hold on, let me fix that. Okay, we're fixed. So like I was saying, I'm going to shut this down a little bit. Probably to about right there. And we're just going to check the temperature, kind of come back and forth. Because what I want to make sure again is that temperature is, we're coming down. That's good. It's a good sign. If I can get down to about 250, 225, like I said, then I'm going to put the roast on. I use a digital thermometer called a range thermometer by a company called Super Mechanical that I'll show you here in a second. Okay, so about 10 minutes has gone by, and I've been keeping an eye on the temperature, and we have settled in this kind of 220 range. And I think I'm going to go in and get the roast. Here she is. Let's get this on here. I'm assuming it's a girl. I don't know if it's a girl. This could be a boy. Either way, boy, girl, it's going to be delicious. So I'm going to put this fat side up. And you see that cut in there. I made a few cuts last night to get some, because what I'm going to do later is actually put some herbs in between each. I put a cut actually in between every second rib. And so that one's right there. There's another one right there. And I'm probably going to put like some sprig of rosemary or some thyme down there when I actually get the sear going. Again, this is just an experiment to check out the reverse sear technique, so I'm not going full out flavor, perfecting everything yet. One thing at a time, so I'm going to try this first. So in between takes, I actually decided to change up my setup here. I had the indirect heat kind of facing the other way, and I was thinking about doing the pork roast directly on the plate, kind of to mimic an oven, but I actually want I don't want the direct heat from the plate cooking one side of the roast too much. So I flipped it upside down, put the grate on, and I'm actually going to put the roast on the grate because I really just want that kind of 225 degree air circulating around this thing. So that is the change in the setup. Again, we're learning, we're modifying, improvising on the way. So here we go. All right, it's been about a half hour. Temperature's gone up about 10 degrees. That's okay. I think anyone who's watching this knows the adage, if you're looking, you ain't cooking. And I can't believe I even said that. I hate that saying. I believe the saying, I just don't like it. And right now, screw it. I want to see what this thing looks like. Hold on. All right, not bad. It's looking good, and it's smelling even better. So this is the range thermometer that I was talking about. They've got multiple out right now. They've got, this is the orange, and this one's really made for meat. This one's more for oven use. Everything is food grade silicone, from the rubber here to the rubber, or to the the silicone here, and the silicone encasing the wiring here. It's got an app that it's connected to, and what's really cool about it is that it's pretty easy to use. Right now it's obviously picking up the ambient temperature, and so what I can do is actually say I want to cook pork, and it'll set a target temperature for me. And so when I plug this bad boy into kind of the thickest part of the meat, making sure I'm getting the core, it will actually ring, and it makes a pig noise, like a rooting noise. And if I'm not at this one, it actually will ring some of my other devices as well. Sorry if it's windy. So what I'm going to do is, now that that target temperature is set, and it actually, what's cool is it actually has a built-in rest buffer, and so this will ring a little bit before and ask me if I want to rest the meat, which is a really nice feature. They also do have one for the grill. There is a metal braided jacket over the wire with a black silicone casing here, and so that is an option as well. I'm using it on the egg because even though this thing probably can go up to 550 degrees, the silicone here, and I normally wouldn't do it because the egg can get so hot. What I'm going to do is use it anyway because we're at like 250, so we should be okay. So hold on one second. I'm going to open the egg, put the thermometer into the meat, and get a target temperature and see where we're at internally. All right, we're checking in on our roast, and I have right now an internal temperature of 85 degrees. So we got about 60 degrees to go before we kind of take this thing off, crank the heat up, and get that good outside sear on it. What I kind of didn't plan on was that my internal temperature when I first put in the probe was extremely low. We took this out of the freezer and into the refrigerator on a couple days ago, and when I put that probe in, it was pretty low. So it's taken a while for the temperature to come up, but you can see that the temperature just went up just a little bit more. Again, this is an app called Range, and it pairs specifically with the Range thermometer. Range thermometer was a Kickstarter that came out a couple years ago and did tremendously well. They actually have a new version out now that is a Bluetooth connected dial that can sit on your counter. The cool thing about this app, or one of the many cool things, is if I rotate this app, I can actually see the temperature progress of my cook. So I have a lot of precision, and I can understand exactly how my whatever I'm cooking is cooking, in this case the pork roast. And you can see that I started out, that ambient temperature was high, and then I had a pretty big spike when that probe went into the meat. So we got a little ways to go. We should be fine, just went up another degree. But yeah, just checking in. And I'm not gonna look this time. I'm not gonna peek. We are going to trust that, nothing. We're gonna trust that everything in there is looking good. I'm super excited about this. All right, we'll check in a little bit. More for you probably in 2 seconds. Oh, and I'm also going to, one more thing, for those of you who are interested in the range thermometer, on this video right about now, I have a link that you can go check it out and buy one for yourself. I highly recommend it. All right, so what's been seconds for you has been hours for me, and welcome back. And we have a good internal temperature of about 145 per the recommendation of the range thermometer. And so I'm going to go with that as our internal temperature. This is taking a couple hours. Well, it's December in Austin on a cloudy day at 6 o'clock, so naturally it's pitch black outside. And all right, so I'm going to take this off and let it rest, and I'm going to take off the indirect heat plate and get this fire cranked way up, and then that is going to be our final kind of sear crust on the outside. So hold for that. Heating this up from the 250, I'm now at about 600 degrees. I have top vent open, bottom vent wide open. You can see a beautiful red glow in there from all the hot coals. I'm going to now take the roast, I'm going to put it on, and probably maybe a couple minutes per side. No more than that, because what I really want is to make sure that we get a beautiful crust, but I'm not scorching this thing and making the outside inedible. Thermometer on the egg read about 625 degrees when all said and done. What I actually did was 1 minute per side, about twice. And so that means I did 1 minute, turned it, 1 minute on the other side, 1 minute back on the other side, and then a final minute, and took it off. I'm going to let this rest about 10 minutes, but I wanted to show you as it just came right off the grill. And I'm going to cut in right about here. And I also remember that earlier that I said I was going to put some rosemary or something in here. I didn't, obviously. But what I wanted to show you is where we are, coming right off the grill, and I cannot wait to cut into this thing. All right, the rest time is up. It's been about 10 minutes, so this is kind of the moment we've all been waiting for. I'm gonna go, let's do a thick chop. I'm gonna do 2 ribs in. I'm gonna start right about here, got a rib. This is a very thick chop. And as you can see, we have, it's super juicy, cooked all the way through, just the tiniest hint of pink, but there is juice coming out every time I touch the tip of the knife to the meat. This is fantastic. I'm gonna end it here. We're gonna go eat. This is gonna be delicious. I hope you guys had a good time watching this, and I hope you all learned something and try it out yourself. Talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye. All right, I know I said goodbye, but that thing was incredible. I just ate the biggest pork chop I've ever eaten. I hope yours is just as good as this one. Good luck to y'all, and I'll see you next time.